Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday morning edition daily market commentary. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm your host, Chuck Fulkerson. I want to welcome you back to what we do each and every day, identifying 10 to 12 futures markets from an educational perspective, looking for both breakout and reversal trades. One thing I want to highlight, understand that we look at these levels every day. And the reason we look at these levels every day is because I want to have true transparency as to what happens in the market. You know, if you go back and look at the history of this channel, we've actually, we keep all of our levels and all of our lines on the charts because I think it's important for you to see how these trades either work or don't work. And I think there's an educational lesson in both of those. So do me a favor, in the comment section down below, let me know how long you've been watching the video. I really hit the comment section down below, question of the day, how long have you been watching the video? And if you are new, leave a like, leave a thumbs up, all that fun stuff, and share this page with others. I'm really trying to grow the channel. It helps a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So on the ES this morning, we are actually in between levels of demand and supply. And the reason that we've got both levels here is because our 4-hour chart is giving us a lower swing low, but we've not yet officially put in a lower swing high. And so, you know, as far as an official downtrend, we've really not created one in the S&P. I definitely have a lower swing low, but I don't officially have a lower swing high. Now, this could become a lower swing high if we break below this 3189. So the level that we're looking at for today is this 3189 area. If we get basing in front of this level, we're going to get a nice breakdown, and it's going to blow right through this 15-minute zone. If we do not get basing and we just fall through this 3189, then look for this 3174 area to hold and to give us a retest entry for a short right here. Either way, if we get below this 3189, we will then be looking more clearly at shorts. Now, there's two levels up above us. The first level was not formed at the greatest time of the day, so we have a confirmation entry set up in there. Now, I will say, if we get much more basing here in front of the level, then that level would be canceled overall, because this wasn't formed at a great time of day. And then we've got a little 15-minute level up above here that was formed during U.S. market open. That's a bit of a better opportunity. In the Nasdaq, we had looked at a little bit of a breakout long last night in our live trade room. So if you're in that long trade, then one of the things that we talked about last night was your first target is going to be somewhere up just as we close in on this supply level up in here. So if we have a bullish day, look to move your stop, though, pretty quickly. I would say that we may see some sideways price action, especially with the unknown about the next round of U.S. stimulus, especially with the unknown of all the earnings that are coming out. We have GDP coming out this week, FOMC meeting on Wednesday. I mean, there's a lot to happen this week. And so I would say move your stop up fairly quickly in this position. If you're so inclined, I mean, your stop would have to go below this pivot here at 10,492, 10,495 in that area. So if you want, you can already move your stop up to break even just to have locked in, take the risk off the table, as we're not really moving all that quickly out of that area. In the Russell, we've got a demand level here. Same thing we just talked about in the S&P. If we get basing in front of this demand level, then I would look for price to come all the way down to this region here. If we get no basing and just come straight through it, look for a retest and an opportunity to get back in. Moving over to bonds and currencies. Not bonds and currencies. Let's move over to our commodities market. Moving to our commodities market, crude oil, very sideways. We looked last night at an iron condor. Didn't really get a whole lot of premium for these iron condors. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. Very sideways price action. I didn't add any new levels to the chart, and really nothing has happened since last evening for me to add more new levels to the chart. So I'm going to hold off until I get a more highly probable opportunity in this one. I don't think it makes sense to shrink down to much smaller time frames to force a trade. I could theoretically look at this area here, this 15-minute zone, and technically that would make for a decent little reversal. So I guess I will put a little line around here. That is a potential zone right in there, and it's a whole round number for us to pay attention to. Gold. So gold, we are, you got to go all the way back to look at gold, and we are at an all-time high in gold. We had a prior high of 1923. We're now sitting at 1941, so gold is an all-time high. We know the rules on all-time highs. We don't tug on Superman's cape, we don't spit into the wind, and we don't short the all-time high. So we will look for pullbacks to areas of demand in case that occurs. Last night, we just continued to rally higher and higher. And so I'm going to be patient and wait. We had a really nice breakout in gold last week, and if you're still in that trade, then you obviously should move your stop up to underneath this 1923 area. But in the meantime, I'm not going to be chasing price higher. I'm going to wait for a pullback and be patient as price would come around. Nat gas, taking a look at our nat gas position. We see when looking at nat gas that it is a very similar picture to some of our other markets. It's in between levels of demand and supply. Our 4-hour chart has come back up, but we're seeing a lot of, I call this wickiness, with a lot of selling pressure up here. So not a whole lot to do in that one as well. I'll look at copper real quick. I got a text message last night. Somebody was asking specifically about copper. And so in looking at copper, the area that he was identifying was this unbalanced wick over wick area here, looking for a potential short. Because ultimately on our 4-hour, we can see that there's definite weakness in our momentum, right? We had a big, strong move up. We're seeing some weakness in the momentum. Prices are coming close to this area of supply. If this area of supply fails, I think there's a chance we could see a pullback, and a pretty healthy pullback at that. As we've seen this daily chart showing some weakness. If we pull back to this 2.75 area, I think would be a realistic possibility over the next couple of days. So yeah, this does feed into a decent little entry because of this unbalanced wick over wick area here for a potential short. Just know that potential short, as we get up to there, I like the fact that it's a very small amount of risk, because if we make it up to here and pop through, then I think we will wind up trading a bit higher. Bonds and currencies, we're seeing the U.S. dollar has a tremendous amount of weakness, so our currency markets are continuing to rally. In the bond market, we see that our 10-year Treasury note continues to rise up. Put this little area here for a potential breakdown if we get some basing, but ultimately it's just staying in a very tight range. So that very tight range doesn't really give me much opportunity for reversal trades. In the Aussie, we had looked at this little wick over wick area here, not for a short, more for a breakout candidate. And because we'd already hit that short one time, but we said if we get basing in here, it's going to wind up becoming a breakout candidate. And that's kind of what we're getting at the moment. So keep an eye on a potential breakout above this region here today. For a long breakout for price to trade higher and maybe even get up to this 0.718 region. In the euro, we've also got another couple areas of demand down below us. We continue to rally up into the overnight. And as we've continued to rally higher, I think what we see is that we're looking for quality demand. I could have went for this area right here, but went for the area a bit lower because this was our breakout trade in the euro from last week. Canadian dollar, not as strong as the other currencies in their march against the dollar, but it still is a fairly strong currency. There's just no quality supply to short against it. Technically, you could look for a breakout, but I just don't know that there's quality levels in here. The Great British Pound, we had a really nice breakout trade in the pound. If you take the origin of that breakout on a pullback, that gives us a good entry. When we go out a bit further on this, you can see that we don't really have any quality supply for a while above us. And so even if we get some basing for potential breakout to the upside, I think you might even have that. Looking at this, you could get a retest back to this European market open time of the day, the London Open, right here at this pivot. May be worth pursuing, which is just basically a hammer candle on a 15-minute chart, where there may be a little level in there. And then the Japanese yen, we had a breakout set up last night. We did get a bit of a breakout, but we didn't get the basing for the breakout. So now it sets up if we get a retest into this region for a potential long on a retest. It's not the best of levels because it's already been tested once, and so it might make sense to use this as a confirmation entry because we've already had one touch of that zone. So that's what we have for today. I think that we've got a lot of earnings coming up this week. We've got a lot of announcements this week. Just wait for trades to come into your zone. Hopefully you've taken and protected the stop on that Nasdaq, so you got a little bit of profit from our Sunday night session. And then there's a few other levels that are coming into play some point today. So as always, if you guys have any questions, send us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Until tomorrow, everybody, talk to you soon. See ya.